As chair of the Southampton School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Southampton School Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the number which was posted on the SAU website for the agenda. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have been provided on the website of SAU 21 at www.shu21.org. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-926-8992, extension 103, or email revans@sau21.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
Sharon Gordon.
Here, and no one is here.
Becky Burdick.
Here. I know.
Jim Kine.
Here, and no one's here with me.
Have the roll call taken.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Rhonda got us something, we got a nice special surprise for everyone. Do you want to put that on and then we can, I'll start us off. All right, there we go. So we'll start now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh.
That's right.
Nice job, Rhonda.
I know. I'm gonna get that one on a loop for Henry, though. I saw you have to redo it a couple of times. All right, great. All right, next is consideration of the minutes for May 14th, 2020.
Walter's not here.
Becky or Sharon, did you either of you have any comments or questions?
No comments. I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 14th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor? I think
Sharon
we have to do a roll
Gordon?
call, right?
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick
Yes.
and Jim Kine.
Yes.
I have the vote recorded.
All right, great. Next, Matt, we have the finance report.
Hello. Yes, so we have included the year-to-date expenditure and revenue reports onto board docs. As you'll notice, there's really no significant variance from the prior month. However, I am happy to address any questions that you may have.
Didn't have any.
I have no questions.
Yeah, I think I was okay too. I'm just kind of elaborating off of this though. Maybe I'm jumping the gun. Let me see the agenda. Do we have anything planned for the summer for the building? Any capital projects? Or is it kind
no. Guys, please stop it. Sorry. We have no capital projects planned for the summer. That being said, we are developing a plan to get some accurate pricing for for gym roof for a potential warrant article as we go through the budget process. So we would like to get in a locked RFP where we can have a real number if contingent upon approval at next year's budget process. So we, as part of that, we would look to utilize our roofing consultant, ARM, who we've utilized in the past, and they would evaluate the roof. They would put together specifications. They would conduct the RFP, and then eventually, when we do the project, they would project manage or manage the construction process. So that's approximately $5,000 or $6,000, of which we would utilize the roof expendable trust or building expendable trust to cover that cost. So that is our thought process. However, certainly if the board had any concerns about that, or we're looking to push it back another year or two, we can certainly look at delaying it. That being said, I think we did this past year, we identified the roof as a primary concern and something that we do need to address sooner than later. So
Yeah,
So
I
that
would
would
agree.
Yeah,
Sharon.
sorry. So that, just to clarify, so that, would you say $5,000 or $6,000, that's for just the consultation for them to outline what we would need and come up
So
with a
that's,
plan?
yeah, that's the consultant fee. So
Okay.
that's it for ARM. So they would evaluate the roof, they would put together specifications, conduct the RFP. Because with roof projects, we always utilize a third party to do that process. It's just there's such a high degree of variability with the quality of service, and both from the contractors and the materials being utilized, that it's really important that we do it right. So that's the thought process.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely think that we should do that. I mean, I think when we look, we highlighted it last year when we did the public meeting, and I would only anticipate that to be something we look to do in the near future. So, all right. I think that's it on the, Matt, was there anything else on the finance report, or it's pretty straightforward?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing on the finance report that's different from last month. As you know, we expect to finish the year with approximately $30,000 to $35,000 in unexpended funds. We have some revenue that we're also we will be receiving. So, as well as revenue from dissolving the natural gas, or not natural gas, the generator expendable trust. So all told, we have about $60,000 that we expect to finish the year at with unassigned fund balance. Then we have another. Then we will be funding our roof the special education expendable trust, and I believe it's the building maintenance expendable trust. So that will reduce what we return to the town to $20,000 to $25,000. So.
And does that include the generator, or?
That includes the generator, which is about $10,000. That's so that's about $35,000 unexpended. There's $10,000 from the generator, and there's about $15,000 in additional revenue, which is from a number of sources. So primarily REAP grant funds. So we've been getting REAP grant funds. However, that's not a guarantee. So we don't include that as an estimated revenue. So that's seen as unanticipated revenue. So that brings us to $60,000, and then it's a $35,000 that are funding the expendable trust. These are estimated numbers. So
Yeah, ballpark. Yeah.
we're ballparking it, but yeah, in that range.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Matt. It'd be nice to return some money to the town this year, if possible. All right. Next on the agenda is public comment. I don't think we have anyone on, right? Doesn't look like. But
So the only thing I'll note here is that you have a letter that Mr. DiStefano had sent to us. I got back to him. Mr. Farrar got back to him. We answered a number of questions for him. He asked that this this letter, be included as a public comment as part of the record, and I told him we would do that. So that's why you have that letter from him in the public comment section.
great, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is update on the COVID-19 relative to the school closure.
So I'm gonna handle this tonight, and if you have questions, any of us can try to answer them. The task force and the working groups continue their work. We met again on Monday. The task force and the working groups have continued to meet. I want to update you on a couple of things tonight. First of all, we have scheduled tentatively for the 15th at 5 o'clock an update on the work of the task force for the joint board. We also have a CESPA contract to take care of, addendum, sorry, to that contract to take care of. But we want to brief the joint board before we provide a briefing to our employees and the community. And we have scheduled those briefings to take place on Tuesday, the day following, Tuesday the 16th. So we will, on that day, do a briefing just for our employees, and then a briefing that evening for the community. And what we're hopeful that we can do that briefing for the community in conjunction with Hampton, with SAU 90. We're not going to have definitive recommendations on that evening. Our goal is to address questions, tell people where we are, tell people the kinds of things that we're talking about, because we believe that having information, even if it's incomplete information, is better than having no information and dealing with what you imagine might be happening or might happen. So that's the reason for these updates. I'm not sure when we'll have I'm not sure when we'll have recommendations. I won't call them final. But it'll certainly be at least a few more weeks till we're able to do that. But I want to tell you tonight a couple of examples of some things that we are talking about that I will say to you are not scenario dependent. So you remember we're talking about scenarios where we come back to school, where we're on all remote, or something of a hybrid that could need to plan for closures throughout the year. So what we know is that there are some things that have bubbled up in the different groups that are not scenario dependent. They're just things that we need to do. Now, one of the bases for some of these is that no matter the scenario, a belief on our part that no matter the scenario, we will utilize at least some aspects of remote learning, and that technology should never again be viewed as an optional tool. So there's a lot in sort of the not scenario based kind of ideas that we've been talking about that is based in that pretty simple belief. So I want to give you tonight just a couple of examples as we continue to work through these. And again, these are things that we think we know now, and that we can begin to move on soon. So one is that we believe that we have to ensure a robust wireless infrastructure in all of our schools, and that we make certain to pay attention to both upload and download speeds. Jason Saltmarsh will tell you those speeds should be the same. Normally they are not. And so that's something they're looking at across all of our schools to make sure that if we needed to do classrooms for students who happen to be at home from the school, that we would be able to do that, that the school infrastructure, the school backbone would support that. Another piece is that we know that whether we're, again, not scenario dependent, that we plan on the possibility of remote instruction. And so we know from feedback from parents and others that we need to have much more of a schedule for next year in some of our, in all of our schools. Some did, some did not. And so one of the things we've heard from parents and staff is a schedule with measurements for student performance, with grading and reporting, and that we need to take a look at those minimum expectations for what is a face-to-face opportunity with the teacher, and what are the minimum expectations for what's called asynchronous learning, material I put out for kids to work on, and that we have to fold in appropriate planning time for teachers. There's a lot in operations, very simple. You know, one of the things that we've wrestled with and talked a lot about, and I think this is more rhetorical for the moment, is how do we develop policies and procedures regarding people coming to school, students and staff, that don't incent them to come in when they're sick? Because we know that a lot of our societal sort of expectations incent people to come to school, to come to work when they're sick. And so how do we deal with that issue? And I've had some pretty interesting conversations even with the union leadership about that. And one thing that I think we'll be coming back to talk to you about fairly soon is there's a real feeling that no matter which scenario we're in, we ought to take a look at our school calendar, and we ought to build additional professional development time into the beginning of the school year, before the school year would start. Again, regardless of the scenario, but the teachers would then have time to prepare for whatever that scenario or those scenarios would be. And so I think we're going to be going back and taking a look at the calendar. I think we're also going to suggest that our districts take a look at calculating their school year based on hours instead of days, so that we can buy some additional time for teachers to have planning time throughout the year. Again, depending on the scenarios that we entail. So those are just a few of the things that this group has been talking about, and that really aren't scenario dependent, and that we'll spend a lot more time with you on the 15th, but I wanted to give you a flavor of some of them now. And if you have any questions about any of this, you know, you have, again, 3 of the 5 chairs here. The only 2 that aren't here are Jason Saltmarsh, who's doing technology, and Donna Couture, who's looking at post-secondary. And I do want to tell this group, in case I didn't before, that we have taken the same approach with Southampton graduates of Amesbury that we're taking with Winnicott with respect to the post-secondary group. That is, we're trying to employ the same kinds of supports for them as they leave high school and look at what is becoming by the day a more uncertain future in terms of college and what the next year or 2 may bring for them. So we're putting those same kinds of supports in place for them that we're doing for Winnicott students as well. Any questions you may have?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing when I think about it, especially surrounding the tech side of it, is if it does seem very apparent that we're going to need to be providing computers or whatever we wanted, whatever we decide to be providing to our students, and kind of the curriculum should be having the assumption there's going to be a remote learning component to it, even if they're in the classroom. And so does that, what's that mean from a budget perspective? And, what do we need to do if we're seeing a shortfall in the amount of money we have available? You know, what do we have to do to go fundraise in the community to see if we
Right.
can help cover that?
Right.
My guess is, you know, I would hope that people would in the community would kind of help support that. And I'd be optimistic about it, but I think identifying that sooner is only just going to improve our ability to do it. And you know, it is clearly a very disruptive period that we've gone through, but you know, I'm hoping there will be some good things that come out of it as well, regarding challenging, you know, kind of how things have been done traditionally, and you know, how can we improve on those.
Yeah, the good part about it, and you know this, Jim, from those conversations, is that that's a real focus for all of the groups. Is we had a couple of conversations at the high school today, Matt and I did, and we were talking about evening school and a couple of other things, and we were talking about the things we might be able to do now that, quite frankly, 3 months ago we wouldn't have even had a conversation about doing. And so I think there will be some of those kind of benefits come out of this. I do want to say one other thing, if I can, and that is that there's a real focus. There's a real acknowledgement on this group and each of the working groups that people, in order for the economy, for people to return to work, that people need for us to be operational, for us to be in school, right? And we're cognizant of that. We're also cognizant of the our teachers who live in many different places, live in school districts. And so we had a conversation even today at the Southeasters group that it's really important that we're all on the same page, our neighboring districts, because if one district chooses to go out or go to some kind of hybrid model that's every other day, and we don't. I have a teacher who in our group the other day, Jim, you may have seen the comment, one teacher who said to me, please don't make me choose between my family and my job. And so we're really cognizant of that some people might not be able to come and teach because of the model that their district where they live chooses, right? And so we're trying to encourage the districts around us to really all try to get on the same page with respect to what we're doing, and all while acknowledging that we have a number of parents who've said to us, you know, please have kids come back to school. I have a job dependent. I have this. And then we also know that in some of our preliminary surveys, and we're doing something more, that we have a certain percentage of people who've said, you know, even with certain precautions in place, I'm not comfortable sending my kids back. We had a district in our Southeasters group who reported today that was 20% of the parents. It's a pretty large district in our Southeaster group. 20% said, even with these things in place, I'm not comfortable. By the way, he also told us that when they surveyed the high schoolers, that it was only 10% of them. More kids thought they were comfortable coming back than the parents were comfortable having. But they got the same percentage in terms of their staff. 20% who said, you know, I have an underlying health condition, I have someone in my house who does, or I'm just not comfortable coming back. And those are numbers we're going to have to deal with in a scenario where we're back in some form. We're going to have to deal with what we do to accommodate those students and what we do to accommodate those teachers. Thank you.
So it's a long way of saying fingers crossed everything goes well with the virus over the next 2 months.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah. But unfortunately, nobody knows. All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'm
Great.
good.
Next on new business, we have the 2021 deliberative session date.
Yeah, so we've included the deliberative session date as well as a snow date, as well as a timeline for budget developments for this coming year. I know it feels like we just finished, but I'm excited to start up. I'm sure you are as well. So we are planning to develop a budget to deliver to the school board by November 23rd, at which point you'll have about a month. We'll have a month to work on it and then submit it to the budget committee. by mid-December, December 16th. The deliberative session is scheduled for February 3rd, and the snow date would be the following day, the 4th. It kind of outlines that process. I'd be happy to answer any questions in regard to either of those two documents.
Seems fine. All right, and then you had the budget development timeline. Did you include that in there? Or?
I'm sorry, I combined the two. So yes.
Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah, I was kind of reading and listening at the same time. Sorry.
I will also note I'm very excited because we made certain to make sure that Southampton did not conflict with any other school districts for the deliberative session. So I will finally be able to go to a Southampton deliberative session this year. So
it's a good time. All right. Next, we have the draft meeting calendar.
So what we've done is this is the draft calendar that we showed the joint board. I mean, what we're doing here is really trying to make sure just you can sort of pick it apart from the perspective of your board meetings. But it also includes our policy subcommittee meetings, our OC meetings, our joint board meetings, all of those pieces. But it's essentially, you know, Rhonda's gone back and done a really great job at taking a look at everything that worked with this year's calendar, trying to combine some of the meeting dates when we have deliberatives and all for those of you who do that, and try to propose a calendar that we'll utilize next year. It doesn't require any adoption unless you have any questions. We'll just begin to put this into place or finalize it after we work with our 5 boards this month.
Great, thank you. Next is personnel, summer hiring.
So what we've put on the agenda is what we've put on the last 2 years now, just asking you if you're comfortable with a motion to authorize the superintendent to hire staff with contracts in June, July, and August, and to bring those names of new hires for a ratification essentially to the August board meeting.
And you know what I'm sorry, I meant to put August and or September board meetings because I realized your August meeting is, I think, August 6th. And there may potentially be some after that date.
So you want to say to new hires to the August and or board meetings to ratify, or August and or September, sorry. Okay.
So can I get a motion for that?
I make a motion to accept the agenda item for accepting applications for August and September, or board or is that right?
Do you want me to read it in for you?
Sure.
Okay, so the motion is to authorize the superintendent to hire staff with contracts during June, July, and August, and to bring the names of the new hires to the August and or September board meeting for ratification.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I second.
All right, Rhonda, you want to do the roll call?
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Becky Burdick,
Yes.
and Jim Keim.
Yes.
I have the vote recorded.
I don't think we have, currently we don't expect any, right?
We do not. We don't have anything open at the moment. Is that true, Michelle? In terms of contracts, in terms of teacher contracts, no, that I don't believe we have any.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so.
That's a good answer.
Not like things can't change though. We've seen that in the past too. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hopefully not. All right, next meeting dates. We have joint board on the 15th at 5 o'clock. There's a policy committee meeting Wednesday, June 24th at 4:30. And then our next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, August 6th at 4:30.
There will probably be some other board brief things in there.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Just a guess.
Just to confirm within our group, does August 6th works for everyone?
August 6th, I think so, yep.
Yeah, I think so too. Just double check.
No international travel plans that week. Right.
Jim, can I just say before you get to conclude or whatever that I just want to applaud everybody that was involved, and the one person that's here is Rhonda, who was involved in the in putting together the Barnard School graduation the other night. I really enjoyed being able to watch it, and just thought people did a terrific job.
Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you, Rhonda.
I agree. It was great. You guys did a really good job.
Mhm.
Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah,
You're welcome. It was fun to do. It was a learning curve, but it was fun.
I didn't think I could get teary-eyed on a virtual graduation, but I did.
Yeah, I was sitting next to Emily. I was sitting next to Emily, and she was tearing up like the whole time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I didn't even know the kids, and there were a few things that I saw, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, every year I always think that's the highlight of the year. It's just
Yeah.
it's a fun one. I think it's because everybody knows one another so well.
Mhm.
Can I just ask a question? I don't know who we sort of deal with now about the 8th grade class gift. I don't know if Matt can help with that, or the new principal or something. I know that the 8th grade parents received an email from Dr. Houston about if we want something, we may need to go to board approval for it. So I don't know if he's done, or if we still try to touch base with him, or if we move forward with Miss Witt. I'm not sure.
So, I mean, it should go, I mean, Walter is still, will still be handling it through the end of the month. So I can certainly work with him and Michelle for any sort of transition if it's still up in the air. But for the time being, I would work through Walter to through the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so has he mentioned anything to you about us coming to or coming to you for the board approval?
He is not, but I can touch base with him and see where we stand.
Okay, all right. Because I think that we will, the kids wanted to do something that was a little bit more than the $1,000, I think. And we have plenty of money left in that fund.
Right.
And then obviously we'll just have it placed into that account again, whatever's left over, I'm assuming. So you'll reach out to him?
I can reach out to him and make sure that we have it all set for board approval, and if it goes over the $1,000, that's just simply the board accepting that. And waiving that policy. That's not a problem.
Okay, and we can do that in August if we need to, or
yes. So we don't have a July meeting scheduled, so we would do that at the August board meeting.
okay. Thank you.
Becky, does that impact the timing? Is it the outdoor thing they want to do on the playground?
Yeah, so I mean, it could impact the timing. I mean, I think that if we could get it squared away sooner rather than later, in case the kids do head back to school in August, it would be nice for them to have it prior to getting there.
I think in the case of acceptance of a gift, we can do that retroactively.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned it, I think, in the agenda meeting.
Oh, yes. All right.
I asked my kids, they thought it was a great idea. So, but I forgot the name of what it's called.
It's it's Gaga Ball.
Oh, that's really popular. Yeah.
So that's really they really want to do that for the school.
They're all going to be so dirty, those kids.
Yeah, it's true.
Like come home with like his nostrils like caked with dirt, like when they did.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's not rocket.
So I'll touch base with Walter and make sure we move forward with it, and that we have, and then we'll bring Michelle and I will bring it forth at the August board meeting for formal approval.
Okay.
But we'll just proceed as planned. So.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Where were you thinking about putting it, Becky?
I mean, I don't know because I think that's going to be based on maybe whoever's doing the installation on it. I don't know what this school, I don't know.
Yeah.
The kids I haven't really asked Sarah where they thought they were thinking about putting it, because the kids probably would have a really good idea of where it would be in a good spot also.
Right.
So
I love that.
we weren't sure, the kids really wanted to do that, but there was a couple other ideas that were thrown out because of the cost of it and things like that. So we were trying to steer the kids away from that idea, so not trying to get them too involved in case we couldn't do it. So I guess that would be the next step to find out from the kids where they thought would be a good spot for it.
Right. Yeah, I just want to, I know we've said it pretty much on every board call. I want to thank everybody. I mean, today was our last day of school for students. I think it was a tremendous achievement getting through this time period. And I just want to say how proud I am of everyone on the staff at Barnard School, parents, the children, obviously, and also everyone at SAU 21 offices. It's been just a real pleasure over the last couple months to go through a very difficult time. And I have all the confidence that, you guys are going to keep working very hard to make sure the next year is going to be a success, no matter what cards were dealt. So thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to Dr. Houston for his time at Barnard School. And we really wish him the best moving forward. And Michelle, we are very excited to have you come on as well. I think you're gonna have a really good time at the school, and I know everybody's very excited to have you. So
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I've gotten to know a lot of the staff remotely over the last month, and they're definitely a dedicated group of teachers. So that's all that matters, really. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I just want to say the community, we kind of went against the grid a little bit and did something for the 8th graders kind of on our own, and the community really stepped up and joined in the parade, and it helped. I think it helped make the virtual graduation more memorable to them, and I feel like they were a bit more proud of what they were doing virtually. It's been a lot of work for kids to spend so much time on the computer, and a lot of them I think were getting down, but having the community come out and lots of people support them, I think it really changed their perspective of how they took to the virtual graduation. So it was really good.
Great.
Yeah.
all right, before we does anybody have anything else, or?
I have nothing good to say, but you guys said it perfectly is what I'm saying. I have great things to say, but you guys said it perfectly. I'm really proud of the school and what you all have done, and the parents and the students. I mean, it's been a crazy time, but for sure, I think, we've learned a lot, and I think this has brought us closer together as a community for sure.
Yep.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Miss Casassa just dropped off things on her way home. She dropped off some more of Sarah's things. She's like, can I stop and drop? I mean, there's just not many teachers out there that will do those things,
Yeah. Definitely part of what makes Southampton so special.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. We can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 5:18.
My second.
Everybody in favor of this?
Yeah, we're all in favor.
All right, I'll mark it unanimous.
All right, thank you, everyone.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.